friends, and welcome to the Season 18 Treaty United Building a Nation recap video. Of course, we are doing the transfer window live over on stream right now. I know it's a bank holiday as well, so if you fancy joining some outrageousness, there's the place to go, because I'm just going to let you know now, we have a budget of £60 million. 60 million for this transfer window. Now, will we spend all of it? You know me, probably not, but there's going to be a decent amount of signings I'd expect with that kind of budget, and there's also wage budget to go with it of like £500,000 a week in additional money. So the board have been very generous, you might say, but more on that in a minute. Of course, if you do enjoy these, drop a like on the video. That'd be very nice. It lets me know you want me to keep doing them. Of course, if you have any ideas for them, drop those in the comments as well. That'd be lovely. And of course, if you want to watch the full VODs in their entirety, they're of course on the second channel. I've said of course a lot. You'll find that link in the description. Straight red card. So jumping straight in, it's that yearly disappointment, really, of the youth intake. This Sean Harkin, best player in our youth intake. Yeah. I give up. I'm not even going to dwell on it anymore. We're never going to get a good youth intake ever again in this save. The board won't let us upgrade the youth facilities either. We don't really know why, but they've just kind of blocked us entirely from doing that. It's a shame. But we move, because now it's time for signings. And this year has had quite a few. Let's just jump straight to this. The first of those out, actually, is Millie, or Jordan O'Millie. He's gone, finally, to Leicester City for £2.7 million. It was just never going to quite work out here, and we decided in the end that he just was kind of wasting his time here a little bit. So when the offer came in to get some extra cash under the belt, we went £2.7 million for Millie. He's done well at the club. In fact, he was here for 8 years, which is quite a lot. Over 100 league appearances, nearly 200, in fact, and nearly 90 goals. But he's now moved on to Leicester, where he's barely played in 2 years, which is a shame. Next up was Rodrigo Pereira, out for £1.5 million to Lanús in Argentina. But I talked about him last time, I think. Just wasn't a great signing for us. Managed to flip him relatively fast, even if it wasn't for a huge amount of money. But just trying to drum up some extra funds was always very important, as we wanted to make sure that we had a nice buffer to that rich status, particularly when you see what's happened with that later. Same breath as well, Anders Hansen went to Molde for just shy of £1 million. In the end, we kind of just developed him for them for a little bit and sent him back. He's a good player, he is. 2 caps for Norway as well, but he was just never going to be able to do it for us, I don't think. In that same breath, Tomislav Alexic, who hilariously has now become Irish and has got 7 caps for Ireland. I didn't see that. He chose to become Irish before he left, but we didn't realise he was going to get any caps. That's amazing. He's got 7 caps. So Tomislav Alexic there. Yeah, £500,000 back to FK Partizan, the club we bought him off of 4 years ago. So there's that, I suppose. And another one of these signings was Mujo Kristjanic. He's gone back to FK Sarajevo for £3.5 million. I was genuinely shocked that they could afford to pay us that, particularly as they're the club we bought him off of in the first place, where we paid £245,000. Comes in, goes on loan to Sligo Rovers for a few seasons, refuses to go back out on loan, so we just sell him back to his parent club for 10 times the money. Stonks. Cenk Bayrak also went to Aberdeen for just under £1 million. There's been a lot of outs, like a lot of outs this season. But it was about time that Cenk finally got himself a new club. He's also become Irish. Then there was the biggest out of the entire window. El Barto, our backup goalkeeper, to Lille for £17 million. The reason we did this is because we just didn't feel like he was ever going to... For some reason, he looks really good on paper, but in the match engine, something just doesn't like him, for whatever reason, and I just didn't trust him being our backup behind Luben Mihov, who we also had a £52 million bid on from PSG. Chose to keep him. We may have to move him on at some point, but he's just done so well for us. The man has saved us so many points over the years. But yeah, El Barto, don't worry, we have replaced him. For £17 million to Lille, really did drum up a lot of interest. So we felt that, profit was there. Kept us in the money, all good. Then there was Nicholas Deutinger, who has gone to Chelsea on a permanent deal. The guy I signed on a free transfer from Bayern Munich, I'm fairly certain literally last summer. He was here for 1 year, had him on a free, sold him to Chelsea for £7 million, rising to £12 million, and I've already sold a clause to Chelsea as well that's going just an extra £4.5 million. So the deal could technically be £16 million in a year for a player I signed on a free transfer. Which is great. And it was a similar story with Barema Traore. The reason we chose to send him to Chelsea was very straightforward. They wanted him. We didn't think he was ever going to be quite good enough for us. And given that we'd basically paid literally nothing for him, we sold him to Chelsea for £3.2 million with a clause of a 50% NXL, which I just noticed in our transfer options is available to sell right now. And I'm tempted to see how much it would get, but I can't show you because there's stuff in there. The clause itself is £4.5 million. I think we could get more from them in a little bit, honestly. I really do. I think that clause value is going to go up rather than down. He's already worth like 20 million at Chelsea. But that was all the outs. Quite a lot, you might think. That's drummed up a lot of cash for us. It's drummed up an awful lot of cash. But don't worry, we've still spent a decent whack of change this season on both first-team players and players for the loan farm. It actually occurs to me that on Traore, you may not have even seen him because he didn't join us until the start of last season, and he might have been one of the future transfers that I didn't even show you. So yeah, free transfer, make like 10 million in a year. Not bad. The next of those was Octavio Solis, £700,000 from Deportivo Toluca. Joined us at the start of the season. I mean, look at the state of this guy. He's been fantastic for us this season. 14 assists, 5 goals, 5-star potential, 20 years old. I mean, he's worth 13 million quid already, and he costs us 700 grand. Then there was Ivica Beloshafejian, who came in for basically no money as well, on loan at Dundalk, worth £5 million. You'll notice a lot of players on loan at Dundalk, but again, just great business. Then there was Gunnar Skovli, £1.1 million from Brann over in Norway. He's out on loan at St. Pat's this season, but again, huge transfer values on all these guys. Just great for the loan farm, great for everybody, really. Great for Ireland. And the one of this bunch we were the most happy with, of the guys that joined us at the start of the season that we'd already signed up, is Octavian Manea. £2.7 million release clause from yet again Farul Constanța in Romania. Already worth £11 million to 13 million quid. He is absurd. We're obviously not using him as a striker. He's playing as the advanced playmaker. Well, sorry, he's playing as the Trek when he's in our team, but still, only 19 years old, already has 11 caps for Romania. Another one of these outrageous Romanians. He's just getting better and better and better. This team is just getting more and more stacked at the moment when we keep finding these talents. And that was just the players we'd signed up before the window started. There's still a full page of players we've signed this season. First up, Augusta Perez, £93,000 from Celta Vigo. Not really a huge transfer for us, but we got a loan for him, so it's one for the loan farm. Happy to do it. Then a 29-year-old Peruvian, Marco Rengifo. We signed him up because we just wanted some backup to Diaz on that left-hand side, and he was available for £400,000 from Melgar. And at that point, we thought, you know what? Whatever, really. I don't think he's played as much. He's got 11 goals and 6 assists this season, so I'm still happy with his output. He is on quite a large amount of money. That's the one downside to it, but I still think he's been worth it just because of how low the transfer fee was. Not that his actual value is too high at the moment, but he's not one that'll be here for long. He's more of a stopgap. Then there was Daniel Carvalho from Tondela for £150,000. We were hoping to try and get him loaned out. He's one of the dev list guys that hopefully will get a loan. Remains to be seen, but for 150 grand, it was worth a punt. Then Ilya Keating, on loan from Manchester United. You won't know Ilya Keating. He was technically a youth player at Treaty, but he was poached by Manchester United before he even had a chance to appear in our youth intake. We've got some very good players that have appeared, not at Treaty, but they could have been. So that might be where all our youth intake players are going, to other clubs before they even come through our youth intake. There's a guy called Kevin Brannigan, who's worth £30 million at Tottenham at 16, who also came through our youth academy. But yeah, we get Soddle to show for it, unfortunately. But yeah, Keating's been on loan this season, hasn't really played a lot, but we just kind of felt for not really paying too much money, it was worth a go. Then there was free transfer Hatim Toumi, literally just a completely free transfer from Den Haag. He's on loan at Shelbourne. We've picked up a couple of free transfers from Den Haag as well that have been quite fun. Then there was a bigger signing in Thomas Carlson, £1.2 million, rising to £2 million. He's out on loan at Sligo Rovers at the moment, but again, you can see his value's higher than that. He's only 19. He's a Dane. We love a Dane around this, but Danish and Romanian players are making up most of our squad these days, and you can sort of understand why, because he's another excellent prospect, I think, for the future. He will be a homegrown player, I suspect, as well, which is really good. Out on loan, I don't know. They're just good players, aren't they? I then paid £55,000 for Eric Schmidt on a free transfer from Bayern Munich because he was another random releasee. Not quite as good as Deutinger or Cenk Bayrak have been over the years, but still a player that I feel like could go out on loan and do a job, or just sell him for a bit of cash. Then there's Brian Bellanta, who signed for £500,000, rising to £1 million from Atlético Nacional in Colombia. He's out on loan at Cork City at the moment and has been for the second half of the year and has already banged 5 goals for them in that period too, which is really good. But again, the values are really good. I think he's a solid option and will, once again, for that kind of price, do nothing except improve, surely. Then we have Fat on Cake. This is his real name. His real name is Fat on Cake. Yes, that's the reason we signed him. He's not particularly excellent, but we were able to sign him extremely cheap, and he somehow has also gone out on loan and did get into the loan farm, so we had to have Fat on Cake here. He's also gained weight. He was 11 stone 11 before. Then Josep Maria, a signing from Real Madrid for £5 million, rising to 6. I picked him up because he was not being released, but he was being let go a little bit too cheap for my liking by Real Madrid. And I figured that, you know what, he's going to be a homegrown player. If there's an outrageous prospect in here, getting him now for that kind of price is a good idea for us. He's already worth, well, between 7 and 10 million quid as well, which is pretty damn solid. He will be homegrown. If we can get him out on loan again, it's a little bit more expensive for that type of signing, but we could actually afford to by this point because we were rocking an enormous amount of budget by that point. Then this lad. This is Morton Pedersen. Now, obviously, we've changed his name to Morten Gamst Pedersen because how could you not, even though he's Danish? £2 million. £2 million for this guy. He's 16 and already has these attributes. Yet another outrageous signing from FC Copenhagen. He's worth 13 to 16 million. He's technically still on a youth contract with us at the moment. That's how young he is. And surely this guy's got world-beating potential. I feel like he could be the future of our left side, left wing back there, beyond the likes of Karp. I think that he is the future there, and he's still only 16. I think that genuinely he could be the sort of player that would be in our lineup winning a Champions League one day. That's how good he could potentially be for £2 million. Then there was Alejandro Lara Nyaga for £700,000 from Montevideo City. But again, you look at the values these guys are coming in with. The sheer resale value on some of these players, were we to get some bids, is just astonishingly high. And that's one of the things we really have to leverage to make money at this point, because we can't always guarantee the right amount of income because of the way Europe is with us. But again, loan signing potentially for other clubs. They're all on the loan development list. Hopefully they'll get picked up as that list continues to increase. Then there was Lev Truffenov, another ridiculous midfielder. Lev Truffenov, he was 2 million rising to 4 million from Mariupol over in Ukraine. Don't know if he's going to be fantastic, but he still played some games this year. Got a goal, couple of assists in there too. I like him. I think he's got decent value as well. So again, potential sell-on. He is again part of the loan system too. Hopefully we can get him loaned out. That'd be lovely. Then the goalkeeping replacement I signed to replace El Barto. This is Valentino Vitovich. I think he's still the Croatian national team keeper as well. 4.7 million from Dinamo Zagreb. So we move on a keeper for 17 million and replace him with this guy for 4.7. I didn't really see a downside to it, honestly. Having a really solid backup in Vidovic makes me very, very happy. Got great aerial reach, great reflexes, good one-on-ones, decent throwing as well, actually. Reasonably tall. I just think he's a decent signing to cover over us in the meantime, and he's happy to be a backup keeper. What more could I want out of this guy, to be honest? And just in case that wasn't enough, we also signed Jason Curtis, who is a Northern Irish international, on a free transfer from Chelsea to be a third-choice goalkeeper for us to really stack out that part of our team and really strengthen things up for us. So that's concludes all the signings, but you can see that a lot of signings, but no massive money has been spent on any of them, really. We've not dumped like 10 million onto a player for a little while yet, and we haven't had to, because we've managed to find a lot more bargains, given that our scout range and the players we've been able to sign has definitely increased lately. Still getting to this stage in my career crap and weird stuff on certain players. Don't know why, don't think that will ever change, but at the same time, it's definitely improving, and I suspect something to do with that is the fact that we now have 4-star rep, and that's considered continental, and I think that's really making a huge difference. It was about as straightforward as you can possibly imagine. Took a draw against Skamrock Rovers there, relatively green from that point onwards. Had a Roy Galvin testimonial. Sadly, Roy at the end of this season has decided to hang up his boots. We tried to convince him out of it, so he will no longer be around for that, which is a big shame. We're going to name a stand after him at the Dara Galvin Memorial Stadium as well. We'll have a nice banner up on the cherry picker and all that jazz. But you'll notice something is missing from this. Yeah, we finally did it. We finally got our unbeaten season. The first unbeaten season in the history of this save comes in season 18. We won 34 out of 36 games this year, just the 2 draws, 104 points, which was of course a record, 121 goal difference. You can see that the step-ups we've been taking. Dundalk actually got less points this year than they did last year. But that is not for the want of trying. Dundalk won their first 12 league games in a row, and at one point were actually 5 points above us in the league. We had a game in hand, but genuinely, we were struggling to keep pace with them over the first half of the season. It was only once Europe kind of rolled around and they had to play us a few times that they started to lose some matches. As you'll notice that they had, 7 defeats in the league this season, 3 of which were to us, so that definitely helped. They also managed to dodge us for the first 17 league games, just because all the games kept getting rearranged. We played Dundalk like 5 times in our last 7 league games or something this season. It was mental. But yeah, fantastic season for us and for them. Shamrock Rovers annoyingly got the Europa League spot over Bowes, but we think that might be okay, because next year that's going to be guaranteed group stages of the Conference League, and I suspect that Bowes are going to be strong enough to get there on their own, maybe, through the qualifiers. So it might actually be that next year we could potentially have 4 sides in the knockouts, sorry, not the knockouts, I wish, in the qualifiers and group stages of European competitions, which is lovely. Bray Wanderers do go down with a hefty goal difference, but still managed to win a couple of games. Paulo Vinicius, our Brazilian legend, top scorer for us this season, 45 goals in 35 appearances in all competitions. This is a bit more like it, and you can now understand why I was interested in this guy originally. We've had big bits from Chelsea. I think he's fantastic. Genuinely excellent, and it's the first time we've had a player crack 40 goals in a very, very long time for us in this, 5 or 6 seasons, and it was probably Emmett that did it. So to have him starting to put up those kind of numbers is extremely exciting for what could be, and I feel like long term he is definitely our starting striker for years to come, hopefully. And the other player to highlight as well would be Espen Falkenhorst. What a season he's had on that right hand side for us. 34 assists in 34 matches. He's averaging an assist per game, 18 in the league, 12 in the Champions League as well. He's been absolutely godlike this season. It still only has 6 Norway caps, which is actually kind of terrifying with how good Espen Falkenhorst has been lately. He's been amazing. But all in all, very, very good. You'll see that Sligo Rovers did stay up by beating UCD 2-0. That's just always the way things are. And in the second tier, of course, Shelbourne come back up pretty much straight away. Galway United, a team that were in the top flight at various points in this save, up till about 7 or 8 years ago, now sits second and bottom in this division. Athlone Town, though, finally started to put some runs together. No longer last. You'd love to see it. So then, Europe. And this is where things get interesting. You'll remember last time around, we'd been drawn in the knockouts of the Champions League against Manchester United after ballsing up our group on the final day of the Champions League. And we just figured we've had it because we had to have Juliet back. Well, this is what happened in Europe. Inexplicably, we beat them in the home game. Insanely. Thijs Fries and Espen Falkenhorst's goals gave Treaty a 2-0 victory over United in that home game. And more important than that, Juliet got a 6.3 rating and was substituted in this match. Absolutely outrageous homecoming for the big traitor. But then it got even better, as in the away leg, we lost the game, but won the tie. Ercan Hisanay gave them the win on the night after the 74th minute, but Mihov was amazing in this game. I don't know how he only got a 7.1 rating. The guy kept us in this match for the entirety of it, and if it wasn't for him, we would have gone out again. But what a performance. Even Juliet didn't do much in this match either, but Mihov was stunning, and it sent us through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League for the very first time, and having knocked out Man United. What more do you want, eh? And then we got Milan, and we thought, you know what, maybe. But then that dream was kind of shattered very quickly when we found out how good Milan actually were. Maxence Roy scoring a brace in this game, and a very annoying goal from Stanislav Spak, an own goal. The cross was put in, and Spak just clatters it into his own net, just out of nowhere. We don't really know why. And as a result, we lost blame the Nomads. We lost 3-0 at AC Milan, and we thought, we beat Man United. How did we just go and get absolutely twatted by Milan like that? Particularly as we gave them a good run in the Europa League final several years ago. Disappointment was running riot. And then this happened. I could not believe it. Half time in this game, it was 0-0, and we were 3-0 down on aggregate at half time. We made a couple of changes to some players from the bench. I can't remember who it was exactly. It would have been, Manea, Rengifo. They were the players that entered the field to play in this one, and it just changed things. Mate got a goal from a corner on 48 minutes. Then Rengifo got a goal to get us back into it on 71 minutes. Vinicius then equalised the tie in the 85th minute with a very tight offside goal. And then the 117th minute in extra time, managed to bang the winner for us to win 4-0 on the night and to turn around a 3-0 deficit on Milan to go to the Champions League semi-finals against PSG. Mental. Where we then went to the Parc des Princes and did them in Paris. Paulo Vinicius in the 29th minute gave us the winning goal, and that was all she wrote. Mihov again was absolutely stellar, and we then knew that if we didn't lose our home game, we would be in a Champions League final for the first time in the club's history. Mental. And then in that second leg, once again, Mihov's time to shine. Treaty 0, Paris Saint-Germain 0. He kept out several certain goals in this match, and we couldn't really offer much ourselves, but it didn't matter as we were in the Champions League final. 1-0 on aggregate, and Mihov was the hero. What a guy. Unfortunately, in the final, we faced Chelsea, and, it didn't particularly go too well. It was kind of an even first half, but in the second half, Volkan, Wozniak, and Gio just tore us limb from limb. We just couldn't seem to get anything going in this match at all. We were just a bit out of our depth. I think we kind of fluked our way there, and it would have been an outrageous result. But we'd actually played really well against Chelsea in the group stages, so I was a little bit saddened by that, really. But that's just how life goes, really. But still, just getting there alone was fantastic for coefficient, and that's really what was important for us. It bailed us out hugely. And as for Europe this year, relatively straightforward qualifiers. 4-1 victory against Young Boys in the home match, and then went away to Switzerland and twatted them 7-0, with Vinicius grabbing 4 goals in that game. What was that? 11-1 on aggregate in the playoff round. I bet they wish they'd never heard the name Treaty United at that point. And we got Chelsea, Chelsea, Galatasaray, and Shakhtar in our group. So once again, Chelsea, but 2 much more beatable sides in there as well. Not going to beat around the bush too much with these results. We managed to win our Champions League group. We took a 2-2 draw against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, despite being 2 goals up in the 52nd minute, which was very sad. A 6-2 hammering of Shakhtar with 6 different goal scorers was very nice for us indeed. Then a 4-1 beating of Galatasaray, then a 3-3 against Galatasaray in the second leg, which we were 3-0 up in, and then ballsed it up with Shimshek in the second half, and that could have cost us dearly going into that. Luckily, it didn't, as on the final day in our next match day, we beat Chelsea. Finally, the first time in this save, we were able to beat Chelsea. A Volkan penalty, Alaku, and then Thies freeze with the goals. 2-1 victory. Very, very important. And on the final day, we got a 2-1 win away at Shakhtar with the Donut and Vosterek on the score sheet to finally enable us to win a Champions League group. First time in the save. First time we've gone through a whole Champions League group unbeaten. Really, we should have been further out in front, honestly, because we shouldn't have dropped those points to Shakhtar. We had like 6 XG in that game. It was outrageous, but it happens sometimes. Conceded a lot, but scored a lot to go with it. And finally, got ourselves the pleasure of a pot 1 seed for the next round. And we got Barcelona, because of course we did. That was our reward for winning our group. Barcelona. We could have had Porto or Rangers in the next round, but no, Barcelona. That was our reward. Chelsea got Milan, if I recall. So, yeah. It's one of those things, unfortunately. But still, it did give us more coefficient points, and that's really, really key. Because now it's time to look at what the other Irish sides have been up to. Dundalk, sadly, this year did not last very long in the Champions League. They were dumped out quite unceremoniously by PAOK. Now, they got a red card very early in the first leg for their striker, Unai Alonso, on loan from us. And I suspect that that's part of the problem. But it did dump them out of the Champions League very early. But it meant that both them and Bose went into the Europa League knockouts, or rather qualifiers. Both of them won their ties. Dundalk beating Tyrol and Bose beating St. Gallen of Switzerland, which was really, really good. good. It meant that they were both guaranteed Europa Conference League football at the very minimum. And I was happy with that because that guaranteed us 3 group stage sides. In the aforementioned Conference League, Cork City beat Sepsi of Romania on penalties in the end, which was really, really solid to get them through to the 3rd round. Unfortunately, the 4th round didn't go quite so well as they were beaten very narrowly in the end, only 3-2 by Basel, and sadly Skamrock Rovers were knocked out by Ross County. Having beaten them 2-0, they then got hammered 4-0 in the second leg, and it was all over for those Irish sides. Luckily, though, Bows were able to beat Zalgiris of Lithuania. You'd expect them to qualify for the Europa League, but unfortunately, Dundalk were knocked out 3-0 on aggregate by Lausanne Sport. Big of a shame there, but it meant that we had Dundalk in the Conference League, and that's something we've been looking forward to for a little while to see if it could finally happen. It has, and well, this is what happened. So first up, actually, Bows in the Europa League did get a win. They got 5 points in their group, a win and 2 draws, not too bad at all. In fact, they would have got 3rd spot and a knockout spot had it not been for the fact that Braun were able to pull off an outrageous final day victory against Sparta Prague. With that, of course, Bows were able to win away at Feyenoord, and had that just gone slightly differently, they could have got that 3rd spot in the end, which is a bit of a shame, but still nice to see them get us some extra coefficient points. Those are so important. Those wins and the 2 draws is an extra 0.8 points for Ireland this season that Bows have just earned us by being there, and that's how crucially important it is. As for Dundalk, much more plain sailing for them. 16 points, 5 wins and a draw. That's a huge scalp for us this season. That's them by themselves. 2.2 points in Europe in just this group stage for them is absolutely unbelievable for Ireland. We really, really needed that. And of course, they've guaranteed themselves a first-rate knockout round as well, so they get to skip a round too, which is even better. I think they could actually go quite deep in the Conference League this year. I genuinely do, because the best news of all, of course, is that we've already got 8.6 points on the board, and we've not even played a single knockout fixture yet. We're already massively up on last season. We're going to be, sorry, not up on last season, up on the season we're losing, which is fantastic, but we could overtake last season, a year that we got to the Champions League final, and it just shows you how important it is to have the other Irish sides doing well, and I think we're really starting to bear the fruits of that now, because I think next year, there's a real strong chance that we could actually have 4 sides in the group stages, because I think Skamrock they'll get a bye into the Conference League group stages, and I think they're strong enough to actually win some games there, and I feel like Bows are good enough to qualify for it outright as well, which would be absolutely marvellous. And you never know what Cork City could do. They've shown a bit of quality, could even be 5, but I think 4 would be amazing. But you can really see how that has helped us this season. We were under a lot of pressure at one point, and now it looks like we're actually going to gain a position this year. The Czech Republic are having a good season because they've got Sparta Prague, but we've already gapped them by over 1.5 points now. At one point it was neck and neck basically, but those results in the groups have been earth-shatteringly important for us, as opposed to gapping everybody else. It's likely, unless something goes horribly wrong for us, that we'll move up to 11th in the coefficients this year, and more importantly, next year we lose a 5.5 season. That's the real key. The next couple of years are going to be absolutely amazingly important for us, because if we can just trot out a few 8s, 9s and 10s over the next 3 seasons, that could give us the difference. That's the difference between us being on like 39 points where we are right now and what could be potentially low 50s maybe, and starting to get some real movement going. And once those teams start getting guaranteed spots in the group stages, it makes it so much easier for us to maintain it. I feel like they're not always good over one game, but over 5 or 6 games, they clearly have the quality to win. And that's what really excites me the most. If we can just get these same 5 sides qualifying for Europe every year, and that's what it's looking like at the moment, their individual coefficients will go up too, which means they'll get easier groups, and it will really start to mean a lot for Ireland. I think the next 5 years in this save could be absolutely massive, particularly as we're now strong enough, I feel like, to start challenging for things and regularly going deeper in Europe, which will allow us to take a little bit of the pressure off the others as well. This is where it really does feel like it's about to start to get extremely interesting. Not that it hasn't been, but I feel like that's where it really does start to perk up. As far as overall analytics for the squad go, I mean, you can see that top scorer, of course, was Vinicius with 48 technically in all competitions. It doesn't count certain things there. Threes got 7 to 20 again, 15 assists. He's not taken as many corners this year. Vostrek with 17 as well is actually fairly impressive too. The Donut with 15. These are obviously loanees in there too, but Rengifo with 12, Alaku with 13, Diaz with 13, Mate with 14. So many players. Limburg as well with 10 goals. He is developing really nicely now. I mean, this year, 10 goals and 8 assists, 22 appearances. Still not the starter, but he's a cracking player. And it's kind of only really come at the cost of Emmett Doran. He hasn't played as much this season, and unfortunately, it does feel like he is starting to fade away from significance here a little bit, and that's a shame. Big Emmett. He only started 7 league matches this season, or 7 matches in total. 7 goals still. He's still contributed some goals, but at 32, he's still got 3 years left on his contract. I do feel like he's just starting to now fade away a little bit as the team's just moving a bit beyond him, but still, we owe this guy a hell of a debt of gratitude. Nearly 200 goals in the league for Treaty so far, in only just over 200 games. Over 400 goals in all competitions. His European record for this club has been nothing short of astonishing, and it's going to be a long, long time before that's ever beaten, because he was getting like 20 goals a season in Europe for like 3 years in a row. That takes some doing to beat. But we love Emmett, and we'll keep him around as long as we physically can, because I would love to be able to convince him to become a coach. That's really what we hope to do. But that will pretty much wrap up the Treaty United Season 18 recap. Now, you can see that we're in a really good spot right now. Things are just starting to hot up, I would say, in the long term. We've got Barcelona today, maybe, if we get to that point. We probably will, actually, I suspect. At least get the first leg in, potentially. But I feel like Barcelona can be beaten, honestly. They definitely are not the team they used to be. They came second in their group again. They've never won a Champions League in this save. I actually don't think they're as good as maybe we think they are, but still, they're a quality side, and it would have been a shame. It's a shame that we didn't get a slightly weaker side there as a result of winning it. But if you're going to be the best, you've got to beat the best, and hopefully that's what we're going to try and do either today on stream or on Saturday. So if you have enjoyed this, and I hope you have, drop a like. That'd be fantastically docious. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. That'd be sick too. I stream on Twitch right now, in fact, so go follow there too. And I'll see you guys for another recap, probably sooner rather than later at this rate. I'll see you soon. Hold your gun. Capybara. Bye-bye.